Hey there Internet, it's your host Tahmid and welcome to another episode of Tahmid Talks. Today we have an exciting topic of the top 5 wealthiest Muslim countries in the world, how they got here and what comes next. Do you think Muslim majority countries all rely on oil? Well, here are the top 5 wealthiest in recent times and how each one got rich in a different way, from natural gas-fueled Qatar to tourism-driven UAE. We'll be using the rankings by GDP per capita PPP adjusted for purchasing power to see real living standards, as this accounts for difference in cost of living. Then we'll explore when and how they grew wealthy, a bit of the history and the economics, with big economic shifts coming, policy moves, and future risks that may entail. First on the list, and one of the wealthiest countries in the entire world, not only the Muslim world, is Qatar, with a USD PPP of $121,000. $121,600 to be exact. It's a chart topper and it ranks up there with the likes of Luxembourg and Monaco and any other wealthy places that you can think of globally. The 1970s gas boom dramatically increased GDP per capita by over 1,000% by the late 1970s. Qatar then experienced an economic bust in the 1980s, but rebounded nicely with a 94% growth in the 1990s as its natural gas industry matured. With the GDP USD per capita in the 120,000s, this is over triple the global average, which sits around 27,000 USD. One of the major wealth engines, if you haven't figured it out, is LNG, liquefied natural gas, as Qatar sits as one of the world's largest per capita exporters. Aside from its impressive LNG reserves, the country also sits on one of the best and wealthiest sovereign wealth funds in the whole world, QIA, Qatar Investment Authority. So not only did they take their resource wealth and hoard and spend it, but they made some savvy investments. If you know anything about this channel, I focus a lot on personal finance and making good investments. I have a whole playlist called Money Talks where you can learn more about investing and putting your money to work, just like Qatar did. So make sure to take some time to check out the channel and the Money Talks playlist, as well as other fascinating playlists on the channel. So some of the key takeaways from Qatar's meteoric rise is that it maintained some of the highest income per person among the global nations due to its ability to tap into its vast gas wealth, natural resource of LNG, but continued to pursue diversification for long-term resilience, including investments in sports, education, and technology. Similar to Qatar, but perhaps less well-known and vastly wealthy, is the Kingdom of Brunei. Most people would have a hard time pointing out Brunei on a map, but this country is among the wealthiest in the globe. It sits at a projected GDP PPP per capita of USD 95,700 to be exact. Oil was discovered in Brunei in 1929, but this country actually went on to become a significant LNG, liquefied natural gas, export hub by 1972. Today, Brunei's economic sectors are split, with about 2/3 focused on mainly oil and gas industries, but the other 1/3 focused on business and consulting services. There has been some large-scale diversification efforts, such as the Wawasan 2035 launched back in 2007, aiming for a highly educated population with high living standards and a dynamic economy. A major step in adding value across the energy chain was the Hengyi petrochemical complex, which achieved initial operations around 2019. So Brunei is trying to do more than raw resources and commodities and diversify beyond. So Brunei in many ways faces the challenges of high wealth per person due to a small population really and being nature rich. But at the same time, it's so vulnerable or faces significant vulnerability due to the continued high oil and gas dependency in its economy. Although having 1/3 into services of your whole economy is not bad at all. Closely behind the number 3 is UAE, with a USD GDP PPP per capita of around $81,000. $81,700 to be exact. The 1970s oil-fueled boom launched rapid growth in Dubai and Abu Dhabi among the Emirates, experiencing a massive boom around 2007 with hundreds of billions in construction projects and the UAE real estate bonanza. Since then, the real estate sector has gone through several bursts and booms in UAE, and diversification efforts are highly successful. As of 2024, non-oil GDP accounts for approximately 3/4 of the total economy, which is a strong indicator of its economic transformation. Some of the new frontiers in the UAE has been making substantial global investments and diversifying its portfolio similar to its Qatari brothers. They have made bets of over 200 billion USD in US energy and AI investments, often led by entities that are state-led like ADNOC. So the takeaway from UAE's journey here is that a dynamic global hub successfully pivoting into high-value sectors is possible through technology, clean energy, and AI, showcasing strong economic resilience. And if you've been following the news lately, UAE is also trying to get a piece of the crypto pie and attracting a lot of the crypto industries over. And of course, you already probably know about UAE's booming, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, booming tourism sector, which has been around for some time. And this altogether makes up that 3/4 of the non-oil GDP of UAE. Then down the list, we have another tiny kingdom that people often don't know where it is, called Bahrain. Bahrain comes in at a USD GDP per capita PPP of around $67,000, or $67,800 to be exact. Oil and gas has been vital since the 1930s, with notable growth in aluminum production and Islamic banking. Bahrain has really been tuning its finance and financial sector since the early 2000s to expand not only domestically but across the Gulf. However, there have been some challenges for the tiny nation, with public debt reaching around 120% of GDP in recent times, with significant increases in national debt burden. However, with the small population and relatively strong energy and material sector, as well as now financial, particularly Islamic banking sector, Bahrain remains highly wealthy compared to many nations globally, but its high national debt poses a serious economic risk, emphasizing the need for robust fiscal management. Today, if we took a breakdown of the finance sector in Bahrain, it would be the largest contributor to the GDP. So the finance and insurance activities is the largest contributor to Bahrain's GDP today, followed by manufacturing, the second largest. Then there's the big role of government and public administration. Transportation and communication also play a big role in churning out economic activities. With such investments in different sectors, Bahrain has really weaned off the oil wealth, with only about 15% of the GDP today coming from oil and related sectors. Last but not least, in the top 5 with some impressive figures, we have the neighbor of Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, with the GDP USD per capita PPP of about $62,000, $61,900 to be exact. So as you probably know, oil has been the backbone of the Saudi economy since the 1930s, making it one of the world's wealthiest nations in its early statehood. However, in recent times, Saudi has been working hard to get away from its oil reliance. They have launched a statewide Vision 2030, with the goal of 1,000 different large-scale infrastructure and tourism and different sectoral initiatives. By 2024, it was slated that 85% of the 1,502 initiatives under Vision 2030 are either complete or on track. As a result, over 1.3 trillion USD has been committed or already put into real estate and infrastructure, including mega projects like the NEOM, the Red Sea, tourism development, and the Murabba project. Non-oil GDP in 2024 was up a significant 4.3%, and the Public Investment Fund, PIF, which is Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, continues to steer massive local and global investments abroad. Similar to its Arab brothers, Saudi plays a big role in the US, from Silicon Valley to other parts of life, when it comes to investing and raising venture capital. The takeaway from Saudi's experience is that of massive wealth driven by oil, but at the same time, recent years actively pursuing ambitious diversification in all avenues. While these big projects, the infrastructure ones, are immense. They require a lot of funding and planning to be sustainable. It is a path they need to take, especially in a world where oil prices have stayed lower than past few decades. For Saudi though, oil dependency remains larger than many of its smaller Arab neighbors. So the key takeaway for today, Muslim majority nations such as Qatar, UAE, and Bahrain vastly outperform the global wealth averages. These are smaller states and they benefit from population size to form their high per capita wealth, but at the same time some of them face structural risks, particularly related to resource dependency and national debt, which some of them have done a brilliant job of getting away from. So whether you're an investor or a geography buff, there are a lot of opportunities in sovereign wealth funds, halal finance, and growing tourism sectors, so keep your eyes open. As these countries work to diversify and implement economic reforms that are crucial for their long-term stability and growth. The UAE, Saudi, Qatar offer strong examples of proactive strategies to get away from resource dependency. It'll be great to watch their journey and see if these countries become successful in adapting in the global energy landscape as the world slowly but surely shifts away from traditional oil and gas. If you found this video entertaining and educational, please do make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and drop an encouraging comment, and let me know any other topics that's on your mind that you would want me to cover. Thanks for watching. This is Tahmid signing out.